Everybody, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan, and you're sitting in Kana's corner. And I have a very special guest sitting in the corner today. You've all been asking for him, and here he is, Patrick Seitz.
What's up, guys?
Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And now, obviously, you've done a lot of voiceover work. Do you have anything upcoming and recent that you want to talk about?
The big one in my brain would have to be Monster because I spent a year and a half directing the dub, and I'm also appearing in the dub as Grimmer, who is conflicted and awesome. Um, so that's the one I'm usually mentioning to folks because it's just such a good show. There's 74 episodes of it. Um, they're about 50 episodes in on Sci-Fi. They've been showing two a week on Monday nights. I think the first 20 or 25 episodes are on Hulu, and I believe the Funimation channel just started airing it. They're maybe 4 or 5 episodes in. So
Oh, so
today,
it's getting a lot of exposure.
surprisingly so. I mean, I'm used to working on stuff and having it come out on DVD, and that's sort of the end of it. So to to be able to work on something and get it out where people can see it a little easier is it's a shot in the arm. It's nice.
And you get to brag about it.
Yeah, I can't go to my non-anime friends and say it and have them, you mentioned Monster to non-anime folks. I'm like, oh yeah, that movie where Charlize Theron was all ugly. Um, like, no, 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 it's anime. And then they look at me like, what? So, it's definitely within our little sort of demi-monde of anime, so to speak.
Now, from my understanding, Monster is very dramatic. I haven't seen it personally. I'm sorry to
It,
say.
it is exceedingly dramatic. It is psychological thriller, never devolves to filler, which is amazing. It's sort of the same frame as The Fugitive. You've got the doctor wrongly accused of murder who's chasing after the real killer while, the authorities are chasing after him. But then you layer in, you know, East German secrets, orphanages where they're experimenting on children, all sorts of lovely intrigue. It just gets more and more complicated.
So, definitely something that'll pull you in until the very last episode.
I think so. I mean, when I got tapped to direct it, I thought, okay, I need to. This is one of those shows I need to see the whole thing. I can't go in having only seen part of it. I need to know what's going to happen with these characters. And I watched the whole thing in about a week. And I'm not one to marathon view things, but I'd get to the end of an episode and I couldn't not watch the next one. It
It
was
was
that
just addicting.
pretty much. Yeah, that was kind of a rough week on my eyes, but definitely worth it.
Well, that'll definitely encourage our listeners to view that, I hope.
View it now.
Right now on Sci-Fi, you said, right?
Yeah, Monday evenings. Particular time depends on where you are. I think it's a little earlier in the evening if you've got the high def, and they're also showing it on Chiller, which I guess is a sister channel to Sci-Fi that I wasn't familiar with. Whatever airs one Monday, they show those same episodes a week later on Chiller. So there are about a bajillion different ways to catch it. So catch it, gotta catch them all. Also,
Our listeners will love that. They love Pokemon way too much. But you also said you directed.
yes,
And
yes, that
and was that sort of an interesting experience to both be a voice in it and direct it?
very much so. It I in the other things I directed, I hadn't played that large of a part. Um, I did a little bit in Tales of Fantasia when I voiced Douse, but that was only a 4 episode OVA. So the magnitude was totally different. I find it challenging to direct myself because suddenly instead of putting all of my brain into the directing side of things, it's the performance, the directing, playing it back, hearing it. Uh, it's hard to stay as objective. Luckily, my engineers were really good um, at bouncing back, and once I established with them what I was looking for with the character, they had a really good grasp on who he was as well, so they could tell me, "Hey, this one's not this one's not sounding so hot. This one isn't doing it." Um, but definitely a worthwhile challenge. If he wasn't such an awesome character, I wouldn't have tried wearing both hats at once.
I mean, I've always heard voice acting is more difficult than on-camera work and a bunch of other sort of commercial work and things like that. So I can't even imagine trying to direct and at the same time perform.
I think whatever, whatever time was lost in my having to split my focus, I think was made up for in the fact that I watched the whole thing. I knew the character arcs. I knew the situation. I mean, when you've got actors coming in, you have to, as economically as possible, set the scene for them so they give you the right read. But when I hopped into the booth to do Grimmer, I didn't have to bother with that because I knew exactly what was going on, so I could just get right down to business.
Well, less hours they have to spend for the studio.
Exactly.
And now, so you have your, a lot of hats actually. You do the voice acting for anime, voice acting for video games, and directing. Do any of those sort of get overwhelming when you try and separate them?
It's a weird thing. In this business, you have downtime, you have downtime, you have downtime, and then suddenly, tomorrow, three different people want you to come in and record something. So, only overwhelming in that all at once. Usually, when you've had a couple slow days, everybody will want you to come in at the same time, and you just end up with these crazy days on your schedule that are like black holes. Every possible event just sort of gets slurped onto this one day on the calendar. Um, it When I was directing Monster, it could get a little busy just because I had to, had to get that done, and then doing the voiceover acting I was getting in addition. But that worked out pretty well in that um, I was booking the talent, and so I could schedule around when I had stuff come up. And if somebody called me and had, a really juicy gig come up and they had to reschedule, that was fine. Um, because they were understanding that if I called up and said, "Hey, I booked something really juicy, can we move your monster session?"
Oh, that's neat. You kind of
Yeah,
were understanding with everybody in the system.
yeah. I mean, it's a real small community, much smaller than the general LA acting scene, and everybody by and large is pretty cool, which is nice. It's a small community. It's a nice community. People, they know that they're going to be the ones calling later with the favors, so it's no skin off their teeth to do you a solid and be flexible.
I just have a theory that you guys just party every night.
It's weird. I've seen more of people I know and gotten more of a chance to hang out with voice actors I know at a convention in Canada than I do in LA because our schedules are so weird that a lot of times it's tough to find the time to hang out because I'll get an audition or they'll get an audition or somebody will get a gig or just the regular, everyday life stuff. Something will come up. I mean, generally we only see each other at work as, I'm leaving a session, they're the next person in, we say howdy in passing and into the booth they go and out I go along with my life.
Well, I know some of the conventions in California are so hectic, like Anime Expo, for example.
Hmm.
Oh God. I can't even imagine running around as a guest. The most I get to do is run around as the press, and I remember our whole team was wiped out the day afterwards. We literally needed a day or an extra day in the hotel just to sleep.
It's it's and I'm not knocking it at all, but I can go to AX and just walk around and not expect anybody to know who I am, which is handy. I mean, if somebody stops me and goes, "You're Patrick Seitz," I'm like, "Wow, I am. How did you know that? Who told?" Um, but a lot of those bigger conventions, I mean, aside from just the fact that you've got thousands of people all in the same spot, and that gets kind of tiring, I can just wander around and not get not get stopped, which is fine. That's half the fun. I've got this one T-shirt I wear. It says "Just say no to dubs,"
Oh
and
wow.
I've had people stop me at conventions, be like, "Dude, your shirt, I love it, yeah." They take a picture, um, and they have no idea, and I get a kick out of that.
Well, that's one way to keep your secret identity.
Yeah, it's either that or the Clark Kent glasses, which would look weird over my regular glasses. So yeah, I gotta go with the funny T-shirts.
You just like rip the shirt and there's the Superman voice acting thing right there. But no, you frequently go to conventions, correct?
I do not as many while I was directing Monster, just because I was so busy with that I just wanted the weekends more for purposes of decompressing in my
And being
soul.
lazy.
Yeah, you know. But before that, I went to a bunch the year before. I think like 12, no, more than 12. And now that I'm done with Monster, I'm sort of getting back into the proverbial con circuit. They're fun. I like them.
So you really love interacting with the fans and kind of just, maybe buying anime accessories for your room.
Oh yeah, I mean this definitely this industry, this funky little niche of ours, so depends on the fans. I mean, if you're doing some Hollywood movie or TV show, you've got millions of people buying it, millions of people watching it, and so if somebody likes it, doesn't like it, doesn't matter because there's so many people that everyone's voice is diluted. But this is such a niche industry that I really get a kick out of meeting up with people that are excited about have heard of what I do and are excited about what we do because without the fans, without some people throwing down some honest coin on this stuff, there wouldn't be an American anime industry.
Oh, and I definitely agree, and I hope that we can promote that industry more and make you guys more popular. You guys need more recognition.
I think it's definitely helping that the companies have finally gone over to releasing things in season packs. Because I mean, I'm kind of a cheapskate, I'll tell you. Tossing down $30 for 4 episodes of something was always kind of steep. And when you can just as easily spend that $30 on a season's worth of some American TV show, it's easy to see why the industry was kind of hurting for the cash. So I think they're making it easier for people to do the right thing and buy it rather than just download it.
Oh, definitely. It does seem that box sets do have a bit more success, especially if it's a series that's had a lot of, advertisement in Japan as well.
Definitely, definitely.
Because the fans are so in tune to, oh, it's on right now.
Hmm.
It's pretty
Yeah.
insane.
Like the simultaneous release thing they did with Kurokami.
I hope they do more of that, actually. I would like to, I know it's very difficult, but I would hope that they would do more of that where, they actually bring in both dubbing artists for Japan and America. That way you get the same release and people aren't, well, it takes too much time to dub it.
Right.
Because that's usually a big complaint for a lot of fans.
Hmm.
But
I don't know what the numbers are. I mean, I'm not sure. I was in it. I just don't know what the results were. But I'd be curious to see if they keep up with that trend.
well, hopefully they do. And for everybody listening out there, we're going to take a very short break. But keep it tuned to 91.8 Fan. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
918thefan.com. Have you logged on today?
Who, me? No. No?
iStock's daily news show, video reviews, articles, forums, and an anime directory. Don't get left behind. Log in today. Only on
918thefan.com?
918thefan.com.
All right, 918thefan.com.
Hey everybody, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan, and you're still in Kana's Corner, and I still have Patrick sitting in Kana's Corner with me. I haven't chased him away.
Crazy.
Yes, it is crazy. We're talking about video games and wars and guns and no, I'm kidding. Pterodactyls. No.
We were talking about pterodactyls. That part is true.
That was true. But before I get mained by all your fans who are currently in our chat, I was wondering, have you heard about Blaze Blue Continuum Shift, the next one that's coming out?
I've heard about it.
Are you allowed to say anything about it?
I sure would love to go in and redo it. So I'm hoping that happens.
I hope they get you to do that too. I mean, you were basically the main male character.
Ragna is not the kind of character I get to play very often, so when I do that kind of character, there's always that fear that if there's anything additional, they'll just go, yeah, not so much. Let's replace you. So hopefully, if it comes to pass, they won't, because I would be sad face.
Oh, I would be sad too, and he's such a very sort of hot-headed, raging character in a very lot of parts, so that must have been so much fun.
It was because I usually don't get to be the snarky young guy. Usually it's the villain or the zany uncle father type. So yeah, I did enjoy that.
Was all the yelling into the mic therapeutic?
Sometimes with games, especially instead of anime, you're usually going at a much faster pace because so much less of it is to flap. So with some of the once you get to the fighting stuff in a game, it's like yelling, 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 yelling. So you're just happy when you get to the end of the session and you've successfully yelled all the yells that you have to yell.
Yeah, you have death screams and hi-yahs and attacks that you're screaming at other people.
Yes, although thankfully most of the time when you go in for stuff like that, they do save that for last as much as possible, which is nice. Because it's tough doing all the death screams and then having your dialogue. It gets a little.
Your throat's all wrecked.
Yeah, it's a little iffy.
And now, Blaze Blue, actually, Calamity Trigger, the original one, it had a whole big story to it. Did you think you'd be reading so much?
Well, no. When they told me I was going in for a fighting game, I thought, oh, okay, fighting game. They fight. That'll be a quick session. And when they booked me for multiple sessions, I thought, oh, this is odd. And then when I went in for that first session, was flipping through the scripts, just page after page, I thought, wow, this fighting game, really? Did I understand this right? But yeah, no, there was a crazy amount of story in that game, which I think was a good idea for multiple reasons. Not only because I got paid, but I think it shows you can have a good fighting game, especially a good 2D fighter, and get the story. It doesn't have to be one or the other. These people don't have to be slapping each other upside the head in a plot vacuum. They can have backstory.
I think that's why it did so well in the market, is that it had a story, it had that extraness to it. It wasn't just like, let's hit each other, guys.
I mean, there's a place for that too, admittedly. But no, I quite agree. I think the fact that it had the story and that they really said, instead of going 3D like every other game ever now, let's just make it 2D and pretty it up as much as we can. Which I like, because I remember when games went from 2D to 3D, everyone's like, we can go 3D, this is awesome! But then everything kind of started sort of looking the same. And I like these trends where you see people take a chance on a 2D game to distinguish it artistically from everything else out there.
I will say it is a very pretty game for 2D.
Yes, it is.
And I'm sure, have you gotten to see or play the game yourself?
I have. I own it, although I am not. I mean, I've stumbled my way through story mode with Ragna, but doing, what was it? What's the one where they just toss enemy after enemy at you? That mode, not so much. I mean, I'm not good. I'm definitely not one of these guys that's watching the DVD that they sold with the limited edition, showing you how to be even more elite than you already are. I went online a couple times, and it was just sad.
Yeah, I can understand. I play personally as the booby lady, and my friends get so angry at me because they'll be just about to kill me, and they'll have like one little life left, and I'll throw that stick that she has, and it'll come back and hit them in the back of their head, and they're like, no.
Booby lady.
So hopefully, though, we'll be able to hear your voice in Continuum Shift whenever that comes out. I'm pretty sure they confirmed it for summer, but I think that's still a rumor.
Ooh, that would be soon.
I think they're trying to, if they do it. I know you can't really comment even if you were involved, but hopefully they'll try and release it around the same time as Calamity Trigger.
Makes sense. I know last year they came out like the day before AX. So a lot of people at AX were picking it up there. I know Axis had a really strong presence there. I think it was.
I believe the creators were there.
They were. I got to be on a panel with them. That was kind of cool.
Was that kind of awkward meeting them like that and saying, "Oh yeah, I voiced this character you made"?
Not really. I just figured it's one of those situations where I thought, well, I'm going to assume unless they come up to me and say to their translator that they think I butchered their character, that they don't think that I butchered their character. I won't bring it up, and hopefully they don't think I did too bad of a job.
Well, that's really cool. I don't know a lot of people who get to meet the original creators of whatever project they were involved in.
Mhm.
And now you said you were getting back into the convention circuit. Do you have any conventions upcoming and happening soon?
I'm going to a little one down in San Diego this Saturday called Anime Kanji. I'm going to be down there, and I believe Wendy Lee is going to be down there. And then I'm going to Persicon in Alabama. I think that's in June or July. I don't remember when that is, but that's coming up at some point over the summer. I'm one of those people that if something isn't happening this particular month, if I can't open the calendar and see it, it's kind of 10,000 years away. And then I've got a couple others that are still getting hammered out. So hopefully those happen, but I'm going to hold off on mentioning them until they're confirmed one way or the other.
I know how you feel. I have about 15 conventions this year, and I can't even keep them track in my head. I just know the next one coming up, and that's about it.
Oh, and AX, of course.
Well, we will definitely see you at AX. We always go to that one. Crazy chickens without heads trying to get interviews.
Oh, I can imagine.
And now, do you have a website or Facebook or Twitter where our fans can keep updated on your newest projects or conventions?
I do. I kind of fail at keeping things current sometimes, but I'm trying. I've got a Facebook fan page that I'm doing a fair to middling job of keeping people posted on. MySpace is basically defunct once there was the mass migration over to Facebook. I've also got my own site, www.patrickseitz.com, although everything I put up there I think also ends up on the Facebook page. The problem with having a website is that when you're doing things and all excited about them, you can't talk about them. And then when they come out, a year later, you can finally mention it, but you've lost some of that initial verve because you recorded it a year ago. So I'm not. There are people that are much better at keeping up their websites than I am. But I do have the Facebook fan page. That's probably the best way to go.
Awesome stuff, and I'm sure all of our listeners will flock to it now. Flock like sheep.
Now, go now. Start clicking.
Are there any other projects or new things coming out that you want our listeners to know about?
Trying to think of things I can mention. Do.
Curse those NDAs.
Oh, right. There's some really fun stuff coming up that I can't mention yet, but it's fun. I guess for those who've been following Bleach in the manga, which is probably up to episode 80 bajillion, or issue 80 bajillion, I've heard that Ishin is coming back in a fun way, which is always exciting for me because, now that they revealed he's a Soul Reaper, I wanted to do cool stuff. So he's going to be coming up, and then for the One Piece fans among you, I'm still slated for Frankie, so once they get to his arc in the One Piece, as they say, I should be going in for that.
Ooh, sounds like fun. And before we let you go, I was wondering if you'd like to participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
Yes.
We ask everybody who comes on, whether they're a voice actor or not, if they'd like to do a bump for us.
Sure.
Awesome stuff. We were wondering if you could say, whether in your voice or character voice or whatever silly thing you're feeling right now, if you'd be willing to say, "My name is, I do this," and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
My name is Patrick Seitz. I'm a voiceover actor, and you are tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
That was very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Usually, you didn't even do any bloopers. That was amazing. There was no, what am I saying? I need to write this down. Well, no.
Yeah, because usually if it's not written down, we're kind of useless.
You're so used to the scripts.
I know.
But no, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I'm sure our listeners loved having you on.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
No problem. And for everybody out there, if you missed any of this interview, it'll be up within the next 2 days. Make sure to stay tuned to 91.8 Fan, everything you want, nothing you don't. Here's some Flow and their song.